I'm Amanda Joyce.
And I'm Devin Hayes.
And today's topic is content marketing for contractors. And here's why you should care. Content marketing is a time investment that will attract qualified leads and build brand trust if done properly.
Welcome to Trade Secrets, where we demystify digital marketing to help contractors get the most bang for their marketing bucks.
This is for you if you're a contractor looking for actionable marketing insights.
Learn from home services industry experts to elevate your business through simplified marketing strategies.
Let's dive into today's trade secret. All right, so this is a fun topic today. It's. I feel like it's something that people hear marketers talk about all the time, and it's kind of vague, kind of like SEO, where it's like kind of all encompassing, and I'm excited to just kind of dive in and help people understand like what goes into it and how they can really take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I think it's like content marketing, it sounds so overwhelming because it could be so many things, and then you're like, what do I do with it? Like, why would I do it? That sounds like a lot.
Exactly. Why, as a business owner, would I take time out of my day to do it or spend money on it? And that's what we're going to help you understand today. So and let's dive in. I think to get started, let's just go over like how you could even show up with where your content, all this content you're going to make, where it could show up in Google. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to do is get those eyeballs in Google.
Yeah, because it's changed. Yeah, it's changed so much. Like it used to be like, cool, here's like your little blue, your little link to the text, and then off you go. And obviously, that was like 20 years ago. And now there's a lot. It's a lot different, but even still, I mean, I'm sure people realize it because they search for something and they just don't even realize like what those little sections and those little areas are called on that Google page. You're like, videos.
Or that there's, cool. That there's strategic ways to actually start ranking in those. So it's, and Google's just going to keep introducing more of these. So it's fun to like keep up on what the latest and greatest is and hopefully take advantage of it before the competition dives in. But, Google is trying to compete with all these other attention grabbers out there on the web. And of course, they're going to become more visual all the time. And they're going to come up with new ways to pull you in and keep you in the search results pages versus, they're trying to get you to get in there and scroll and hang out. So let's talk about how you can take advantage of all that real estate. So let's see here. The first one that comes to mind, the most important one would be this is specifically for contractors. I do want to clarify. There are some additional sections of Google search that we could dive in on, but we're not going there today. We're going to talk about areas of the search results that you can try to take advantage of as a contractor. So first and foremost, most important is that Google business profile. Hopefully you've got one set up and that it's pretty well optimized. If you don't, now's the time to make that happen. But just as a reminder, it shows up right there in the right column of the search results. If you were to search for a local company in your area, it pops up, gives hours, shows photos, shows their recent posts, all of that. That right there, we could talk about it for hours, but that is an essential component for your contracting business. In addition, plain text organic search results that we've all seen forever, what Devin was just referring to, that's what it used to be. And then, people also ask, that's those FAQs that you can see a lot of times that it's another way that Google's trying to keep you in the search results and keep you from clicking off. They're kind of based on the search that you enter, they're trying to answer questions right there that you might be, eventually trying to get to. Another great thing that you can completely optimize your content to increase the likelihood that you're going to show up in those. Video rich results, again, those videos that pop up right there in the search results. You can definitely create content to start dominating in that area. Featured snippets, which is again, Google, it's that 0-click search. They don't want you to leave. So they're taking a snippet directly from a piece of content and displaying it in the search results. So you can find that bit of information, maybe refine your search. It's again, them just trying to keep you there active and engaged in the search results. Review snippets, that's where they can go pull reviews that you have and, from other sources out on the web outside of Google Business, outside of your Google Business profile, and then logo in the knowledge panel as well. That one probably applies to larger brands, but you can still do some optimizing so that ideally, hopefully as Google continues to evolve, one day you'll start seeing that pop up in the knowledge panel as well. That was a lot. Did I miss anything when I was just kind of rambling those off, Devin, that you wanted to chime in on?
No, I think just like, so just big picture, when you think about content marketing, obviously, you want your content to land on Google, but that doesn't mean that like every piece of content is made for Google. Like some of it is made for social media specifically, like those, like that short format video is huge. And I know that you can like put those on YouTube, which is part of Google. And I know that those results also end up in Google, but maybe when you create it, the intent is to get a social following and not a position on Google. So there's all these different areas within Google that your content can rank on. And then there's, but that's like one piece of it. And I know you're diving into all the other like, types of content people can use and where they're going, and like, the healthy marketing mix of what goes where and where they can use them. So it's a big, content marketing is a big old beast, but it's effective. It's effective, right? But
exactly. And if you're starting out, you don't have to do every single one of them. That's the important thing too. We're going to tell you a whole lot today, but don't get overwhelmed. We're also going to talk about how you kind of make a plan, but I think it's good to understand everything that we encompass when we talk about content marketing, and then you can decide what makes the most sense for your business and for your budget, So
absolutely. And what you have the bandwidth for? Like, do you have a staff? Do you have a team of people? Is it just you, or so there's like, and we're gonna dive into all of that. So I won't say much more, but don't be overwhelmed. We make it digestible.
Yeah.
And Amanda, totally. Let's
just
jump
ramble
in.
them off. So the things that are included in content marketing, blogging. I mean, that comes to mind with everybody first and foremost. We actually have a blog on our blog about why you need to blog as a business. It's, it is a necessary evil, and it can really feed into all of these other pieces of content. Because if you write good thought leadership on your blog, then one of the other things we're going to talk about is email marketing. Then you have content to link to inside your email marketing to drive people back to your website and to help people trust you and learn why you are the best at what you do. Downloadables, ebooks, white papers, how-to guides, those kind of things, those definitely fall inside of content marketing, and they can be really powerful to engage with people, and again, really build that trust that will hopefully make them eventually come back and hire you to complete that, whatever that home service job is. Video, long form and short form. I mean, video is obviously becoming a much bigger focus for us in 2023 as an agency, but it's critical that you start to focus on that a bit more if you really are trying to, make gains in social, make gains in the search results, all those things, and they don't need to be perfect. Yeah, they don't need to be perfect. That's the thing. Yeah.
Right. And especially with the way things are changing. So, there's all these AI tools out there, and most recently Chat GPT is the one everyone's talking about, but Chat GPT isn't able to provide video results. And while Google's got some stuff in the works for how they're going to compete, like video, the video. So why not start taking advantage of that now, knowing that these competitors of Google aren't going to be able to compete with that at least for a few years. And start to YouTube's the number 2 search engine in the world, right? So why not get some video on there and help yourself out? But sorry, I digress.
No, exactly. And then that video plays so well on social. It's so much more engaging, and you can show the personality of your company. You can show your employees out in the field doing what they do every day, just really humanize your brand. And it can help with the rankings. It can build the trust. If you don't be labor over it, it doesn't have to be really, time intensive to create it. You'd probably find that it's easier to shoot a quick video while you're out in the field explaining something than it would even be to take pen to paper and write that blog post. So it should definitely make sure it's part of that plan. Website content, adding pages to your sitemap. That's another big one. Making sure that your existing pages on your site have solid content on them. That's a really important component. Before you should go out and start writing lengthy blogs and stuff, make sure you've got that content on your website dialed in. Social media posts obviously fall in here, and we've all seen graphics like this, but all of this is like a giant circle. All of this is like a feeder that they all literally like one feeds into the other, feeds into the other. And so even though it might sound kind of overwhelming, you can write like a really thought-provoking piece of content that really educates your potential buyer, shoot a video that kind of explains it a little bit more, and then post that blog to social, post that video to social, and it's all, make sure they're linking back to each other. And it's just, it's right there. You've got a great content strategy already in the works, and it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. You can be kind of driving home the same point. Podcasts as well. That's another one. As we're still learning about it, but it seems to be a pretty powerful tool that we're already just so excited to tap into more. And the list goes on, but that was kind of what initially came to mind when we kind of started talking about, what we would suggest for a contractor to try to consider working into an overarching content marketing strategy.
Yeah. And kind of just listing out the different types of content. Like, it doesn't necessarily make sense, podcasts we put in there because, well, it's a form of content, right? But podcasting just to podcast because, you think you're going to monetize it and make a bunch of money is never, not a good idea. We're on this journey just because we're a small agency, Elevation Marketing, and we want to stay small. We like being small, but we have so much information to share. We just kind of figured the best way to share it is with a podcast. It certainly wasn't with the intent of like, going to get rich quick after,
or famous
after a couple episodes. Rich and famous after our parents download it and give us that thumbs up.
Our parents and our husbands. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see here.
Where to start with that strategy. So we've talked about everything that could include in it. So what we recommend, if you're sitting down and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? We would recommend laying out a calendar and thinking realistically about how much content you could produce. Maybe you have somebody sitting in the office that's able to do this, and you could have them do 3 to 4 social posts a week and write a blog and shoot the video and write a new page for the website. Great. Put it down in a calendar and really look at it holistically before you start plugging in the topics. Really just lay out something realistic that you can stick to. And then you can always, as you start to get better at it, it can grow. But set realistic expectations from the beginning and lay out a calendar. And then next, really think about your audience. It's really important to think about this before you ever create a piece of content. And I know you're probably like, I know my audience, but it is a good idea to just sit down and storyboard who they are. Maybe bullet it out. You don't have to be wordy with it, but really think about who your buyers are. And once you really make yourself put that pen to paper, it's much easier to think about perhaps it's the housewife in the suburbs with 2 kids that is your bread and butter, that you really want to find. You want to attract more people like that. Then you can start thinking about the content that you can write that is going to speak directly to them. The questions they ask you every time you step into their home to give them an estimate. It really helps you think creatively about how to get in front of those people. Different levels of the funnel too. This can get kind of, I don't want to go off on a tangent about this, but the sales funnel, most of us are familiar with it, but people are at different stages of the buying cycle. And you also want to, while you're outlining that, think about that same persona and when they're maybe just in the research phase versus when they're like really narrowing down their options, and then when they're ready to buy. Write content that speaks to them in each section of that, because you want to attract people at all different levels of that. You don't want to just assume everybody's ready to hit buy, because if you're only talking to them like that, your content's not going to speak to that person that's probably your ideal customer, because they're researching and they're trying to learn and they understand the value of what you do. You want to make sure you're really zhuzhing that relationship just as much as you're zhuzhing the guy that's like, okay, I'm having a plumbing emergency and I need you right now.
Yeah, that makes me think too, like when you have someone at the top of the funnel who is just researching, because let's admit it, we all want to be smart consumers. So we all do research, especially when it comes to any type of like contractor, right? We don't want to get, especially like as a woman, I don't want to get taken advantage of or like feel stupid. Like I made the wrong decision. Why didn't I research X, Y, and Z? But what I was going to say when you said, people are at the top of the funnel and they're doing the research, I hate it when I go to a website and there's like a lead form right there. I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about you. Yeah,
Yeah,
excuse me. Like, clutch the pearls. Like, it's just like, give me your name and address. What can I do for you right now? And you're like, who are you? Can you solve my problem? Why should I trust you? Why should I give you that information? I get it's probably great for conversions, maybe, but for me, like, I'm like, it's like a Quicken Loans versus, going with a mortgage lender that is, that someone that and is going to talk you through the process versus just like submitting your name, your social security credit report, and then they like whip out whatever loan they think you can qualify for versus like someone who knows that you're maybe a teacher and you could qualify for a specific loan quick, you can't anyways going down a rabbit hole. But I just when as a buyer, like I like to like read pieces of content that make me feel knowledgeable, and I like seeing the same brand name over and over, like no matter what question I ask, they're answering it for me and not trying to sell me always. They're just providing value through their content, answering the questions that I have as a consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually makes me think, when we were just speaking about the different types of Google search results, like you want to make sure that you are, if you are trying to optimize to like rank in those, you want to make sure that you're reaching out to people and answering those questions and pulling them in. And if they're seeing you in the rich results, and they're seeing you in the people also ask before they ever even get to your downloadable white paper that explains why now's the time to like invest in solar or whatever it may be, that continuous brand recognition, they say what people need to see your brand like 8 times. So if you can knock that out in the search results, get in front of them quite a few times, like you're already kind of dating before they even get to your website, and then they're a little warmer to you. And then maybe if you don't slap them in the face with the give me your information, they just might give you their information.
Yeah, especially in 2023, like people like, I feel like I don't think we can say it enough that, there should be more like benefit outcome statements. Like there's, and we joke about this, but like there's some industries over others that are notorious for like, me, I'm so great. Look at me. I got this. Woo!
Kiss the muscles. Yeah,
versus like telling you what you are going to do for them and the outcome they can expect if they work with you. I mean, it's just, so like, that kind of story branding is, I think, bigger and bigger. And it really develops that sense of trust instead of that, like I said, Quicken Loans versus like your mortgage lender, that's in, a smaller, firm.
Yeah. By their first name, and you could pick up the phone and call them if you needed them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So once you've outlined that audience and you're thinking about, you're ready to talk to them in every area of the buying cycle, it's time to brainstorm those topics. And this is the fun part. This is when you get to really think about what makes you such an expert in your field. And maybe you are a roofer who knows how to work the insurance process. That is a strength, and maybe your other competitors don't have your knowledge. Write to it, talk about it, help people understand it. That is how you separate yourself, and you're not just writing another blog post about why it's best to, have a roof inspection at this time of year or whatever. Like, really start.
And we get the place for those types of blogs, but nowadays content just for content's sake, like those blogs used to be for, like they served a role, but now it's like, what
Google's
are the questions you get asked all the time?
Yeah. Exactly. And at the end of the day, their goal is to give searchers quality information. And that's what you want to do anyway. If you're going to take the time to write a blog post, or you're going to pay someone to write it, have them write something that's compelling, that's really going to position you as a thought leader. So as you're outlining, now that it's time to like start brainstorming those topics, just sit down and start thinking about the questions you get asked all the time, the things you wish that a homeowner knew before they even reached out to you, like how the goodwill you could give them so that they are going to be a better, more educated buyer. And even if they find you and they're in another market, you're still going to help them make a smart decision. And then maybe one day they'll be talking to someone they know in your market and say, I noticed this company and I loved something that I learned from them. So it can have a halo effect. So just make it quality content, and a lot of these other pieces just fall into place naturally. Google's going to like you better, and they can tell the difference between content for content's sake and content that is truly like enjoyable to a reader.
especially with their new like quality rater guidelines that came out, this nice 400-page article about what they're looking for, but they actually have actual humans, not bots, crawling through and looking at results and looking at the content, and they have a checklist of what they're looking at to grade the quality of your content. So it's a different game in 2023 with your content. You can't, like I'm going to say, I always say this, but old timey SEO, it was like plug in like your keyword 50 times into a blog post and then post it. And then in the background, in the same color as the background, have your keyword another 50 times because it was like the quantity of the keywords. And that's like early 2000s. Like that's some black hat garbage SEO, but it used to be quantity, and now it's so different, and it really is quality. Now they have, like I said, quality raters, and there's a whole guideline, and they're looking at your content. They're looking at what's displaying on that search engine results page and rating whether or not it should be there. So, you really
and everyone's benefiting. Consumers are so much better off because of that, and people trust the search results more because of that, and it's forcing all of us to just to sit down and take the time, if we're going to do it right. And I think it's brilliant, and that's why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
After you've picked those topics, it's time to do keyword research to make sure you're at least tying it to a keyword that people are searching, that has volume, and that we have to make sure we watch it here. I do not want to get too technical, but there are free tools out there. SEMrush is a great one. It's pretty user friendly. You can hop in there and enter a keyword and find out what kind of volume there is on it. You can find out the difficulty score, which is a really important one to look at too. If it's got 3,000 searches a month and it's got a really high difficulty rating, and then you go look and the people ranking for it are Home Depot and Angie's List, probably go ahead and skip that keyword. It'd be nice to rank for it, but let's focus on high value, high buyer intent keywords for your local market that are not too competitive. Yes, exactly. Cost per click's another good one to look at in those tools. You can see if there is a cost per click associated with it. It indicates that people are actually advertising on that keyword, which tells you that there's buyer intent and there's a reason they're spending money on it. So it's a good idea to maybe over time make the time investment in organic to try to eventually rank for it rather than need to pay for it. There's so much more we could say about keyword research.
I know. We'll do another podcast. There's clicks per search ratio. There is there's a ton. There's a giant rabbit hole, but ultimately, I think you covered it best. You just want to make sure there's a decent amount of search volume each month. You want to make sure it's not too competitive, and you want to if there's a CPC, cost per click amount listed. Any of these free keyword research tools, you can kind of Google and pick which ones you like. But if it's got those three things, that's the very, very basic level to start at. And just take a peek at that. And usually keyword difficulty, it's 0 to 100, and start, if you're just starting out and you have a brand new domain and you've never done this, you want to stick to, a difficulty under 30. So that's all we'll say about keyword research at this juncture until the next podcast.
Insane.
But stay tuned. Download, subscribe, give us 5-star reviews.
Check back.
So getting us back on track here. Okay, after you do a little bit of keyword research, you kind of vet out what you think it is that people are searching to find the service or the piece of content you're writing. A great example was solar rebates. See how people are searching that. Are they searching solar rebates Colorado or just solar rebates? What solar rebates Denver? Figure out, and then that's what we mean when we say, figure out a focused keyword phrase, because what comes to mind to you as a professional might be completely different than what comes to mind as a user searching. Yeah.
Exactly. Making sure you check into that, because just one more quick note of that, and then I promise I'll stop. But, like Devin said, what you think people search does not mean that's what people search. So it's really important. I remember years and years ago, my uncle hired some SEO firm, and he told me that he just rattled off keywords that he told them he wanted. And I said, did they research it? And he was like, no, I just told them what I wanted to rank for. And they were like, they were not good terms. So you need to spend the time making sure that people actually search that way before you start writing to it. Otherwise, you could write brilliant content and people aren't going to find it. So just put that thinking hat on when you're doing it. Okay, now we're going to move on to writing the content. Woo! So
writing
you've done all
or
the research,
creating.
you pick the topic. Exactly, or creating. Good point. I'm probably going down the rabbit hole a little bit too much just into like content, or written content, but we'll start there. You write, you sit down, I like to outline first, come up with my headline, my subheads, and then go back and fill it in. I find it's easier to make sure that you have a good narrative there. But one of the pro tips we always like to use before once we pick the keyword, we've got the topic, we go look what is ranking for that keyword and go analyze the top 3 to 5 pages for it, and just make sure that you're keeping in mind what Google's favoring for that keyword. You don't want to plagiarize. You don't want to copy it. Some of it you might be like, that doesn't even apply. I don't even want to include that. But it just helps you understand, it gives you a little bit of guidance as you then sit down and start writing. And you'll be surprised how quickly a nice piece can come together. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, so you mentioned you start with an outline and you're like head, subhead. So I just wanted to clarify kind of on that point is when you read a blog and there's like a bold headline, and then maybe in smaller text, it might still be bolder, it might not, but that's like a kind of a sub headline is what she's referring to. And then there's just the body of the content itself. So you just looking at what the headlines are on the top 3 results. And then after that big bold headline, like what's the next headline? Or is it just a paragraph that answers a question that was in the headline? So that's what she's referring to when Amanda, my brilliant partner over there, says, I look at the heads and the subheads and the body. We just wanted to clarify that because,
yeah,
if you're new to this, it could be a little bit confusing.
Thank you, Devin. Very good point. And then after that, once you're happy with the piece, you publish it to your website. Hopefully you've got an easy to use WordPress site or something that makes it easy for you to just go at it yourself. If you're working with an agency and you're going through this whole process with them, hopefully they're leaning on you for your knowledge and expertise, and then maybe they're going off and writing it and sending it to you for you to review. You don't necessarily have to do the legwork, but one way or the other, it's really good for that kind of flow to happen. The research and the analysis before anyone necessarily just starts writing. On that same note, you can use this same kind of process if you're creating video, or if you're working on social posts. You want to really kind of think through things, and you can create social posts that then turn around and promote these blog posts. So this is your thought leadership piece, and then now we need to go out and socialize it around on all of your social channels, link back to it. You can pull excerpts out. You don't just have to post it once. You can pull out different pieces of it and keep revisiting it over time. It's just get the most out of that content that you're spending time creating.
Yeah, and kind of daisy chain it. So if you create a blog post, you can turn it into, like an image carousel for your social media, and you can post that on your Google business profile. And then the images can link back to the blog post that maybe you already posted. But you can kind of daisy chain your content to really try to maximize each piece you write and get the most out of it.
Exactly. Okay, advanced. You can, once it's all published and you want to make sure it's working and you're, all the juice is worth the squeeze, you can go look and see if it's being indexed in Google. So, Devin, do you want to talk to that?
Yes. Yeah. So, it's really funny. You can tell Google exactly what you want it to index, and that doesn't mean that it will. So you just want to check there's Google Search Console, which, if you're familiar with that, good for you. If you're already familiar, you probably know exactly how to check if a URL is indexed. But I think for most people, the easiest way is you can do a site search on Google. So this is just, I wouldn't say advanced, but a way that maybe you haven't used Google before. So you type the word site, and then you do a colon, and then without a space, you can paste the URL to your blog post or to even your website, and that will spit out only indexed results correlated with whatever site or URL you put in that search bar. So then you can look for your blog post because we even had this on our site. Like we didn't do our own work. We just assumed Google would be indexing our stuff and it didn't. So we had to go through the legwork and actually submit the URL for indexing. And so you just don't want to trust that you're automatically going to have your content indexed. So it's just a good stomach check, gut check after you published it within 72 hours. See if it's on the old Google.
Awesome. And then lastly, you just need to go back and analyze it. You need to take a look over time, use Google Analytics. If you've got Search Console, it's a great tool for analyzing how your content's doing. Look at your social posts around your different pieces of content. How are people engaging in it? What's rising to the top? What's the cream? And how can you continue to create more content in that style or on that topic, whatever it may be that seems to be attracting the right audience. As long as you're kind of going through this creative process and then going back and leaning on the data to help inform the next round of content you plan, you're going to find that content marketing is a really valuable tool that just makes your brand more trustworthy. It makes people love you more. It makes people lean on you. It's just, it pays off in spades over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I was going to even say, we tried to keep this like super top level, but you can get down to like content clusters and, there's like, you can get, but we just tried to imagine, you got a small team, right? You don't have, 8 different content marketers working for you. So we're like, all right, if this was our business, what are the basics? How can we simplify this the most? And this list is kind of what we come up with. So, I don't know. Is it time to summarize? Let's see. I think we talked about, are we being indexed? And then, we can't skip this one. Analyzing your work, Google Analytics, right? Like seeing how it's performing, your engagement on social, visits to your website, or the post itself, right? Specifically, probably the content that you're writing, but
exactly. Using that data can just, first of all, it just allows you to understand what your investment's doing for you. So it can be that gut check that you need, but it can, that's what you can use to inform that next content calendar that you're going to create. If you're, it helps you pick the theme you're going to write towards the next month. Sometimes doing that, writing towards a theme can be helpful to just kind of, help you think about, the calendar as a whole. And maybe if one topic really seemed to resonate, you can really kind of go a little bit deeper on that and daisy chain further and explore it more and hopefully attract more interested, engaged buyers as a result.
Absolutely. And then obviously conversions, like tracking those. But even if you're industry, I think construction industry, you should be happy at a 2%, ecstatic at like a 5%, and like 10%, you're like killing it. But what's really hard with that too is like we have a client where there is one piece of content that he gets like 26,000 views in what was it? Is it like a year that he got for one blog? And so if he converted 1% of that traffic, that would be insane. But you got to take it in stride too, as when we talk about conversions. But but if you think about that, content marketing, that one blog post, if, as part of our monthly contract with him, and say we write 4 blog posts a month and we segment it down to just whatever that one blog post costs. One blog post is like nominal, brought over 26,000 visitors to his website. 26,000 people to his website from one single blog post that will never be taken away, and he owns it forever. So content marketing can be so powerful if you really put the user first and you really give your knowledge away. There's no secrets with content marketing. You are literally telling people everything in the best way, in the most, digestible format possible, right? So
exactly.
That alone makes the case for content marketing.
Yeah, and it also, it's important to keep in mind too that of that the 26,000 users that he gets to the website for that one piece of content, they might not convert that day on that piece of content, but it doesn't mean they're not picking up the phone and calling him later out of the Google Business profile. Or there's a huge halo effect on that. Like, talk about a way to like really implant your brand and start to gain that trust, because they could be super top of funnel at that point. But ideally they're going to come back to you eventually because you educated them and helped get them to the point that they're ready to make a buying purchase.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So let's see here. What things you want to take away from this, this content marketing podcast? We're going to try and summarize this. Amanda, okay. Best way to summarize this. Number one, creating a easy to follow content calendar. That's going to tell you how many times a week you're posting and where and what. And then comes, make sure you're speaking to your right audience. That's 2.
Exactly. Make sure.
3.
And then pick those topics, pick those really compelling topics that are going to pull people in and educate them. And then complete that keyword research. Yep.
Yeah.
Make sure you pick a keyword that is really relevant. Write said content, publish it on your website. Socialize it.
I don't know if that was concise. I was trying to do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if we got it. 1, realistic content calendar. 2, know your audience. 3, brainstorm your content marketing ideas. 4, research those ideas. 5, publish, analyze, and revisit. Yeah.
Wash, rinse, repeat. There you go.
I'm like, what's that? There's a phrase for that. Yeah, perfect. We'll outline this in the description of the podcast because we know there's kind of a lot there. You guys feel free to pause and rewind as much as you need to, but we're going to put this in the podcast descriptions. As always, we thank you for listening. We know we get really detailed with you. We truly are just trying to help you do this yourselves. You can always hire, a qualified agency to do it for you as well. But, we really appreciate you listening, and, it says a lot about you and your dedication to your business if you can make it through these really detailed, podcasts with us in contractor marketing.
So thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and we hope that we will see you again next week.
Thanks. Bye.
That was today's trade secret. Thanks for listening.
Did you find this helpful? We're just getting started.
Subscribe and don't miss our next reveal.
Until next time.